Today I will be showing you the Edgemate pre-glued real wood edge banding, what it is, how to apply it to your project, and why do I have an iron? As always, if this is your first time here, be sure to give that subscribe button a little squeeze and tap the bell icon to get notified when we have a new video. This sanded, expertly matched veneer with undetectable finger joints and pre-coated with hot melt adhesive is phenomenal. The Edgemate pre-glued real wood veneer is available in 19 different wood species and a variety of different widths. Each roll comes with 250 lineal foot. Now let me show you how to apply it. With just an ordinary household iron, you will be amazed at just how easy it is to cover up plywood to give your project a nice, clean, solid wood look. Let me show you how easy it is. All right, so what we have here is some veneer cord plywood. And as you can see, we have the layers of the ply that we want to hide and cover up for our project. Now, as I mentioned before, 250 foot roll is awesome. And the price is phenomenal. If you check it out at woodworkerexpress.com, you will not even believe the pricing compared to other stores that sell it like the 25 foot lengths. 250 foot, the price, knock your socks off. You will save a ton of money. Here's some that I've already used. And now here's how to apply it to your project. Typically what I do is I will just cover up, leave about a 1/4 inch, maybe a 1/2 inch on one side, and then break it off. Simple as that. Step one. Now, of course, this isn't really step one. Step one would have been to plug in your normal household iron. Mine's plugged in nice and warm. I like to set it at the hottest setting, which is cotton on mine. You can kind of set it, maybe the hottest and then click back one. Now, the plywood I am using is 18 millimeter or 3/4 inch thick. And for that, I like to pick the 13/16 inch wide edge banding. And that's really just a personal choice. You could use 7/8. You could use whatever you like. I would not use 3/4 directly on 3/4 because you need a little bit of an overhang so you can kind of sand it off or file it off like I'll show you in a few seconds. So now I just set this over. I get it nice and even. I use my fingers to kind of gauge it using my iron and I just go to town. So I'm going to set it. I'm going to start at one side, get it nice and warm. I kind of like, there's really, multiple ways of doing this, but my personal preference is to just go along the piece. And depending on the length, it changes too. So if this is a really long piece, I would do it slightly different. So I'm just going to go back and forth over the whole piece, getting it nice and warm. And then I'll feel when it's too hot to handle, too hot to touch. That's when you know you got it just about right. So I'm going to go over the whole thing, keeping it nice and flat. And simple as that. You could also check and feel underneath lightly that it is tacky. Using a J-roller, I'm going to now come along and be real careful when I get to the edge. I don't want to go off to the edge and crack it and then you end up with nice little cuts on your fingers, which you don't want to do that. So just be real careful when you get to the edge. And then I'll lightly angle it, on each side just to make sure I'm really stuck, and then maybe a little bit of like a, slight degree just to make sure I got those outsides all nice and done. And as simple as that, that is hot melt glued right onto the plywood. And we're ready for the next step. All right, so I'll let this cool down just for a few minutes. So you don't want to be working on it right after you just use the iron because A, it's going to be warm, and B, the glue is still not completely cooled down and could still move on you, and you don't want that to happen. Now, my personal choice for getting off the edges and cleaning it all up is with a file. You can use a razor knife. You can use specialty products just for it. You can use a sander. But me, I like to use a file just because it was the way I was taught, and it's pretty easy. First, you're going to lay your piece over the edge, so that way you're not putting it directly flat on the table, and then it has a chance to move or shift or pop the veneer off. And then I'm just going to start on one side. You could also clamp this down, and then I'm just going to use, there's a sharp part of the file on one side, and there's a smooth part. I'm going to use that little rough file part on the outside, and I'm just going to go at a slight angle. I'm not going to be flush with the wood. I'm just going to have a slight little angle in there and just roll it right off. And then for here where I started, I'm just going to come back and work it backwards. Now I got that whole side nice and done. My next step is I'm going to use the file and go flush right with the wood. And there we go. Look at that, halfway done. Now I'll flip it over, do the exact same thing. And now if you're new to this, it might take a little bit of time and a little practice, but eventually you'll get it, I promise. It's definitely not that hard of a thing to do at all. And there you go, simple as that. This piece is all nice, and as you can see, clean, filed. You can come back with a little bit of sandpaper by hand, you know, clean off the edges, maybe break the edge a little bit, and yeah. Well, hopefully that was nice and informative. If you have any questions at all, please feel free to leave them down below. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions that you may have. And as always, thank you so much for watching. We will see you next time.